The two biggest shocks to your retirement plan, and I guarantee you're not going to know what they are. You won't know. You'll understand once I tell you, but you're not going to, you won't know it. It's nuts, man. And this is a report from the Society of Actuaries. There's two shocks that people are affected with most. All right, so let's read this article. This is actually pretty interesting, frankly. Anna Rappaport, I've been following her for a long, long time from the Society of Actuaries. I actually did not realize she's the chairperson of this SOA's Committee on Post-Retirement Needs and Risks. And let's see, they have this report, a series of reports highlighting extensive body research from post-retirement risks and issues. So before I tell you what those two risks are, clickbait to make you watch more of the video. Oh, man, it's funny. We're going to go into what this is. The SOA has a biennial study on retirees, 2015, 17, 13, where they say, okay, what's going on? What are the issues that you're faced with? And they report it. So this is the latest data is from 2015. So let's see. How do retirees plan to handle future risks and unexpected events in retirement? The thinking mostly is I'll deal with it when it happens, or I'll figure it out. And that's what they said in 2013. This was a major finding from Society of Actuaries and prompted them to ask, what does it mean for future retirees who experience shocks? In particular, what problems would unplanned shocks and unexpected future events create for retirees? What could a shock be? A death of a spouse, entry in a long-term care facility, or a major repair to the home, among others. The shocks put retirement plans at risk due to the major disruption that caused in their lives of retirees and costly and often unplanned burdens that result. The often costly and unplanned financial burdens that result. Interesting, huh? Hard to imagine people are not expecting the death of a spouse to happen at some point. Hard to imagine people are at least thinking about going to a long-term care facility, even though that doesn't happen very often. The death of a spouse does. That's not the two major ones. 2013 focus group, we're not talking about Sniffy Joe, Gropey, focus group research with individuals generally retired 10 years or less, followed up with the 2015 one with those who retired for 15 years or more. Together, these studies demonstrated that retirees often do not consider shocks and unexpected expenses in planning, and retirees implicitly expect to provide for such circumstances by trying to hold on to assets. The SOA researchers conducted both sets of focus group of resource-constrained retirees. People don't have a bunch of money just falling from the sky. All right, so major research findings. Ready? Planning generally focuses much more heavily on the expected than the unexpected. Expected. I expect to die. I expect my wife to die. I expect there could be a good chance we go to a long-term care facility or a healthcare risks. The SOA research found that many people are poorly prepared for the unexpected, and people with lower incomes will be more severely impacted. All right, you ready? The most common shocks were home repairs and dental expenses. The two most frequently mentioned financial shock and unexpected items were home repairs and dental expenses. Now, widowhood is a shock indeed, but the most common were dental and home repairs. Nuts, huh? Sometimes the death of a spouse is totally unexpected. I mean, you unexpect you to die right then, but you're certainly not unexpecting that you could die. Many retirees indicated household income did drop as a result, but most said they were able to adjust and manage. All right, now check this out. Retirees are willing to adjust. Why do not retirement plans talk about this? Retirees are willing to adjust. The retirees are resilient and they are willing to make substantial adjustments in spending to manage. Many are managing very well, and overall they are doing better than some of the project had expected. Impact of shocks. Assets decline. More than 1 in 3 who experienced shocks had their assets reduced by 25% because of the shock. More than 1 in 10 who experienced shocks had reduced their spending by 50% or more. But most manage. Oh, this drives me so crazy that you're going to spend 4% a year adjusted for inflation. You can never tighten your belt. It's just not common sense. It's not common sense. It drives me insane. About 3 in 4 retirees felt they were able to manage within their new financial constraints, at least somewhat well. Long-term care, divorce, and long-term help to children were the most troublesome. Retirees felt they could make adjustments and deal with unexpected expenses in a number of areas, but not with major long-term events requiring paid long-term care or divorce after retirement. And that's be a long-term shock, divorce. Adult children receiving longer-term support was also a major issue. However, devastating shocks were low in frequency. The survey included some shocks could easily be devastating, include fraud, foreclosure of home, and bankruptcy. All these shocks had low frequency. Comment on healthcare. Check this out. Those who purchase a Medicare supplement in addition to Medicare. So Medicare supplement is a Medigap or Medicare supplement. Those two things are the same. All right, so I got to tell you this. When you go on Medicare, your Part B is physicians. Part A is paid for. You already paid for that. It's called hospital insurance. So to go to the actual physical building, you've already paid for that with your 1.45 tax that you pay as part of your FICA. I can't remember if hospital insurance is part of FICA now. But anyway, when you're paying 7.65% and your Social Security plus Medicare tax, I think that's totally in FICA. But either way, 1.45 is your Medicare. Your employer's paying it as well. So that's what pays for your Part A. That's called hospital insurance. In fact, I think that is part of FICA because OASDIHI. That's old age, survivor, disability, hospital insurance. All those letters, OASDI, is part of your FICA. Be that as it may. So hospital insurance is covered. Part B is your physician insurance. That has not been paid. So that's what your premiums are, basically $150 a month right now in 2020. Then you got Part D is your prescription drugs, and it's proven that's actually been a big boon to many retirees. That's a fact. So George W., put one in the thing for you for sure. All right, but then you got what's called Medigap. All right, so Medicare supplement Medigap, because you're still on the hook for 80% of your health, 20% of your health costs if you don't have a supplemental policy. Now, there's something called Part C, Medicare Advantage. All right, so Medicare Advantage kind of combines them all into one. It's like a private version of a traditional Medicare. If you can afford Medigap, you should. There's no other way around that. But Medigap ain't cheap. Part C is a lot cheaper because it's very, how should I say, what you know with Medicare Advantage is that you're still going to have an out-of-pocket limit. That's a fact. The problem is it's almost like an HMO once you're in retiree, and there's limits on who's going to be your primary care physician, whatnot. Which is how they keep their expenses down. Nothing inherently wrong with that, but if you have the available cash flow, I would suggest you look at Medigap / Medicare supplement. It's the same thing before you do that. And what this article says, very interesting, those who purchase a Medicare supplement, i.e. Medigap, in addition to Medicare, usually had their healthcare bills well covered, so health costs were usually not an issue. I cannot stress this enough. Premiums can be substantial, however, in view of the combined costs for Part B and Part D. And what I say is you're looking at basically $200 a month for Part B and Part D combined, and then about $150 a month for Medigap, Medicare supplemental policy. That's $350 a month. You take your Trusty Calculator, you times 350 by 12. That's going to be what, $4,200? Yeah, $4,200 a year. Now that may be tight, and then Part C is the way to go, absolutely. But still, if you can afford it, you still got to pay $135, and it's actually $150 roughly. It's $145 for Part B, $45 for Part D. I just round up. $150. It's still $200 a month roughly for Part B and Part D. Still costs you $2,400 a year. All right. So if you can squeeze out another $1,800, man, I think you should for sure. The premiums can be substantial, however. In addition, though, dental and long-term care expenses are not covered by Medicare or Medicare supplemental policies. Some Part C do cover dental. Look at that. So people must pay the cost directly or purchase dental and long-term care insurance in the private market. People with Medicare supplements reported that large dental expenses were often unexpected and surprising. All right. So the whole point about this article, we'll stop here, and I'm going to put a link to the show. It's fantastic. I wonder if I could interview Anna one day. I wonder if she have the ability to come on the channel. I'm going to try it. But anyway, one of the issues is that if you have your Medicare and Medicare supplemental policy, there's no unexpected gaps because everything's covered. What is not covered is eyes and dental. And the dental, I mean, man, replacing these teeth, they ain't cheap, man. I talked to a guy the other day, his implants, we budgeted $40,000 for that. But it's a one-time hit. Now, that's his budget, so it won't be an unexpected shock. But, man, that ain't cheap, that's for sure. So, What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is the biggest shocks that people aren't prepared for are dental and home repairs, man. Home repairs are a big deal, which is why you definitely want equity in your home so you can do an equity line or something like that. Part B is if retirees are resilient. Human beings are resilient. I cannot stress this enough. Are resilient. Look, man, I went to the Army as a freaking punk ASS kid out of high school with no freaking I went and I was able to survive. Because I'm hardcore? No, it's just because you do. You make good with what you have. Human beings are resilient. Stop discounting the ability of you to tighten your belt when things get tight. I'm just telling you, you can do it. Human beings are resilient. All right, well, I hope this helps. I'd love to hear your comments. We'll see ya.